The four masters of your destiny, your mouth, mood, money, and mind, will either serve you or enslave you. The choice is yours to make, starting today. There are four silent masters that govern every human life. Four powers that determine who rises and who falls. Four forces that decide who will live in abundance and who will live in lack. Your mouth, your mood, your money, your mind. Most people spend their entire lives being controlled by these four masters, never realizing they were meant to master them instead. Today, I'm going to show you how to flip the script. How to take command of these four areas that most people surrender without a fight. Because when you control these four areas, you don't just change your circumstances. You transform your entire existence. The ancient Stoics understood this profound truth. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Today, we expand this wisdom to encompass not just the mind, but the other three domains that determine your destiny. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to effortlessly attract success while others remain stuck in cycles of frustration? The difference isn't luck or talent or connections. It's mastery of these four critical areas. So lean in. Take notes. Because what I'm about to share could be the difference between a life of constant struggle and a life of purposeful achievement. Words create worlds. The language you use doesn't just describe your reality, it creates it. Yet most people speak carelessly, never realizing the immense power they casually toss around with every sentence. The ancient philosopher Epictetus taught, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." This wasn't just practical advice, it was a recognition of the tremendous power words hold. When you control your mouth, you control the narrative of your life. Consider how many relationships have been destroyed by words spoken in anger. How many opportunities lost through careless promises. How many self-fulfilling prophecies created through negative self-talk. Your words are casting spells, either building you up or tearing you down with each syllable. Controlling your mouth means speaking with intention rather than reaction. It means understanding that integrity begins with aligning your words with truth. When your speech patterns change, people's perception of you transforms. They begin to trust not just what you say, but who you are. In business negotiations, romantic relationships, family dynamics, the person who masters their mouth holds unspoken authority. They understand when silence carries more power than sound. They know that words, once released, cannot be recalled, so they deliver them with precision. The most influential people in history weren't necessarily the loudest. They were those whose words carried weight because they were chosen with care and delivered with conviction. They understood that language shapes thought, and thought shapes action, and action shapes destiny. Starting today, become acutely aware of your verbal patterns. Notice how often you complain, criticize, or speak from insecurity. Then make a conscious choice to elevate your language. Speak abundance into existence. Use words that heal rather than wound. Make promises sparingly and keep them religiously. This single shift will begin a transformation that ripples through every area of your life. Your emotional state is not a weather pattern you passively observe. It's a climate you actively create. Yet most people live at the mercy of their emotions, riding waves of reactivity that leave them exhausted and ineffective. Seneca wrote, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." This simple insight reveals a profound truth. Between stimulus and response lies a space of choice. In that space exists your freedom to determine your emotional state regardless of external circumstances. Emotional mastery doesn't mean suppressing feelings. It means developing the awareness to recognize emotions as they arise and the discipline to choose your response. It means understanding that emotions are signals, not commands. Consider how many critical decisions are sabotaged by temporary emotional states. A business opportunity missed because of fear. A relationship damaged because of unchecked anger. A healthy habit abandoned because of momentary discomfort. Your moods, left unmanaged, become the invisible architects of your limitations. The strongest leaders throughout history weren't those who never felt fear, doubt, or frustration. They were those who felt these emotions fully but refused to be governed by them. They developed the rare ability to experience emotion without becoming the emotion. Controlling your mood requires developing emotional literacy, the ability to accurately identify what you're feeling without judgment. It requires building recovery routines that help you reset when negative emotions threaten to hijack your day. And it demands the courage to sit with uncomfortable feelings rather than immediately seeking escape. When you master your emotional state, you gain access to a superpower most never develop: the ability to choose effective responses rather than indulging in satisfying reactions. You become someone who can remain calm in chaos, focused amid distraction, and optimistic in adversity. Your mood is the lens through which you view every circumstance. Clean that lens daily through practices that center your spirit and calm your mind. Your emotional discipline will become the foundation upon which all other success is built. Money flows toward disciplined minds and away from impulsive desires. Yet most people treat their financial resources like water through cupped hands, always slipping away before creating lasting value. The philosopher Aristotle observed that wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. This wisdom reveals the dual nature of financial control. It's both about growing resources and managing desires. Financial mastery begins with a single profound shift: treating money as a servant rather than a master. When you control your money, you direct its flow with intention rather than emotion. You make decisions based on values rather than impulses. You build systems that automate discipline rather than relying on willpower. Consider how many lives of potential abundance have been reduced to scarcity through financial reactivity. The salary increases that disappear into lifestyle inflation. The investments never made because of immediate gratification. The freedom foregone for the illusion of status. Your relationship with money is ultimately a relationship with your future self. The wealthy across history weren't necessarily those who earned the most. They were those who mastered the art of keeping and growing what they earned. They understood that money's true value isn't in what it buys, but in the options it creates and the opportunities it funds. Controlling your money means establishing clear boundaries between wants and needs. It means understanding that delayed gratification isn't deprivation but a form of self-respect. It requires seeing beyond immediate pleasure to envision the freedom that financial discipline creates. When you take command of your financial habits, you gain something far more valuable than material possessions. You gain sovereignty over your time and choices. You create the foundation for a life dictated by purpose rather than necessity. You build the capacity to fund not just consumption but contribution. Your money will either serve your highest vision or sabotage it through 1,000 small concessions. The choice becomes yours when you develop the courage to say no to immediate desires in service of more meaningful achievements. Your mind is the command center from which all other controls emanate. Yet most people allow their thoughts to run on autopilot, never questioning the mental patterns that create their experience of reality. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." This insight reveals the awesome responsibility we each have to actively curate the thoughts we entertain rather than passively consuming whatever arises. Mental mastery begins with recognition, understanding that you are not your thoughts but the awareness that observes them. With this separation established, you gain the power to redirect mental energy from unproductive rumination toward constructive creation. Consider how many dreams have been abandoned because of unchallenged thoughts. The businesses never started because of imagined failure. The connections never made because of assumed rejection. The growth never achieved because of limiting beliefs. Your thoughts are constantly creating the boundaries of what you believe is possible. The most successful individuals throughout history weren't necessarily the most naturally talented. They were those who developed extraordinary control over their mental focus. They trained themselves to direct attention toward solutions rather than problems, opportunities rather than obstacles, and action rather than anxiety. Controlling your mind requires building daily practices that strengthen your attention muscle. It means consciously choosing information sources that elevate rather than deplete you. It demands the courage to question assumptions that others accept without examination. And it necessitates the wisdom to know when thinking has served its purpose and action must follow. When you take command of your mental patterns, you gain access to creativity, insight, and clarity that seem magical to those trapped in reactive thinking. You develop the ability to maintain focus amid distraction, find opportunity in challenge, and create value where others see only problems. Your mind will either be your greatest ally or your persistent adversary. The difference lies in whether you actively program it or passively accept its default settings. Choose deliberately what you think about, and you choose the life you will create. The true power of these four controls emerges not when they exist separately, but when they function as an integrated system. Each reinforces the others, creating an unstoppable momentum toward whatever you truly desire. Epictetus taught that it's not what happens to you, but how you respond that matters. This ancient wisdom applies perfectly to the integration of mouth, mood, money, and mind. It is your coordinated response across all four domains that determines your outcomes. The integration principle recognizes that weakness in one area undermines strength in others. A disciplined mind cannot overcome a reckless mouth. Emotional mastery cannot compensate for financial chaos. True power comes from alignment, ensuring that all four areas work in harmony toward your defined purpose. Consider how many lives of fragmented success exist around us. The financially wealthy who are emotionally bankrupt. The verbally inspiring who are mentally undisciplined. The emotionally regulated who are financially irresponsible. Partial mastery creates partial results, while integrated control creates comprehensive transformation. The most extraordinary individuals throughout history weren't specialists in a single domain of self-mastery. They were integrators who understood the interconnected nature of personal power. They recognized that consistency across all areas creates a foundation for greatness that cannot be toppled by circumstance. Practicing integration requires regular self-assessment across all four domains. It means identifying your weakest control point and strengthening it rather than simply leveraging your strengths. It demands understanding that progress isn't linear but cyclical. Seasons of focus on different areas create balance over time. When you commit to integrated mastery, you develop a rare form of personal sovereignty. You become someone who isn't easily swayed by external pressure or internal weakness. You build the capacity to maintain your course amid storms that divert others from their chosen path. Your life expresses the combined effect of all four controls working together. When they align, you access a form of personal power that feels almost supernatural in its effectiveness. This is the path to becoming not just successful but unshakable. What I've shared today isn't just philosophy, it's a practical blueprint for personal sovereignty. The ability to control your mouth, mood, money, and mind isn't reserved for a select few. It's your birthright, waiting to be claimed through consistent, intentional practice. Imagine for a moment what your life would look like 1 year from now if you made just one significant improvement in each of these four areas. Picture the relationships that would deepen, the opportunities that would emerge, the peace that would permeate your days. The ancient Stoics understood a truth that modern psychology has confirmed. External circumstances hold far less power over our lives than our internal responses to them. By mastering these four controls, you don't just improve your situation. You transform your relationship with reality itself.